Hey, it's me, Gazbot, and it's day 2, maybe even more than day 2. It's starting with day 2 and moving on to wherever this video ends of 100 days of making comics. Round 3!
What? You were yelling at me this whole time. What's going on?
Alright, I just sat down and did my 30 minutes. It's more than 30 minutes. I think I might have been like 45. Yeah, actually it was about 45. Let me show you. It was grabbing reference and doing research. Previously I'd been looking at real wolves. Now I was looking at wolf masks. I was trying to find the rubber wolf mask from the 80s that I had worn as a kid that I couldn't find. It looked closest to this one. That's not it, but that's kind of in the ballpark of what it looked like. And then I grabbed various movie ones and things like that. And there was an old television show from Fox, on Fox, when it was a brand new network, that had a show called Werewolf. Oops. And this is the werewolf from that. So once I found that, I don't know if I'm even going to include this werewolf in the story. The idea of this show will be in the story for sure, but I don't know if I will literally have to draw this werewolf. But regardless, I need to practice drawing werewolves, and so what I did was copy that. I didn't trace it, but I used that as reference. And as expected, my ability to copy a werewolf, a monster, a fantasy version of the creature is a lot higher than my ability to draw real wolves. But this werewolf specifically definitely had a large influence on me as a child and what I think of werewolves as being. I wanted to primarily work on writing today, and I thought maybe I'd do a quick sketch just to show something, but I'm a little stuck on the writing. Again, I know it's... Because it's not a story in the traditional sense, it's not beginning, middle, and end, it's not really fiction. It's mostly nonfiction, and it's sort of like a rambling thoughts and moments and things like that. So I'm trying to make it be like a cohesive narrative. I have all the pieces I need, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to put them together to make sense. And a lot of people do comics like this. And I used to a million years ago, but I haven't in a very long time. And I'm struggling with the decision to just be like, well, it's autobio, and here's a bunch of stuff, and it's a little bit arty, it's a little bit indie, and so what? And my more conventional sensibilities of, I want a narrative, I want a beginning, middle, and end, I want character development, I want this to be clear. And so, mainly, I just want it to be clear and have a satisfying ending at this point, because the beginning and the middle I got straightened out. So while I've been thinking about it, I haven't been sitting down to write, so I'm not counting that. So this is my official time. I might try to do some more writing, I might do a little work on the horror, but this is like the work on my werewolf story for the anthology for today, the second day, the 2nd of January. Okay, good. So I thought I might work on the horror A4, and arguably I still could, but I realized that I wasn't as far along.
Well, let's try and play around the bastion and see if we can make it work at least.
Okay, let's try this in here. I'm in the laundry room. I was trying to record at my desk, but Q is doing a stream, and she's overwatching and yelling around and moving her hands like a crazy. Well, maybe I'm moving my hands like a crazy. So what? That's fine. Anyway, what I was starting to say is, I thought about putting a little bit more work into the horror today, and I still might, but I was feeling a little apprehensive, and I still am, about the story for the anthology, the werewolf, if I keep saying verses, Werewolves and Unicorn anthology, or unicorns, werewolves, whatever, Werewolves and Unicorns. And so I wanted to work on the writing of that a little bit more, and I was having trouble because I had made a list, and I had sort of worked on the list yesterday, and what I did was I took the list, and then I opened a new file on this side, and I was going to break down page by page, but that fell apart. I wrote page 1, and then everything went on page 1. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but I looked at the left and said, well, what has to be in there? This has to go first, because I always knew what the first panel was going to be. And then this should go here and here, and maybe if I move that and whatever. And kind of got in order a little bit more, because I already kind of put it in order, timeline order, but now I put it in order of story, where some things chronologically maybe happened before the other, but it makes more sense story-wise to do it this way, and certain things I could leave out. And then there were certain things where, like, there's going to be narration / voiceover where I'm writing it out, but the picture won't match. So I was like, okay, I'll take this idea, but I'll show this picture. And I put lines through everything that I had chosen and put on the new file. So the previous list, I didn't take everything off it. I'm not going to erase it, but I'm done with it. If I get stuck, if I'm looking for more things, I'll go back and say, what else was I thinking? What other ideas did I have? I could look at that as a resource. But now I have basically like a really, really bad prose version of a short story of it from beginning to end with, you know, missing sentences and improper grammar and connective tissue that's missing, but it's sort of beginning, middle, and end. I still think the ending could use a little bit of punching up, but at least it's better than it was yesterday. And if I had to start drawing it today, I could. I wouldn't want to. I'm not ready for that. But I can work on this a little bit more, hone in a little bit more on the designs that I'm going to need to do. Because before I had like a big list, and I was pretty sure I need all of them. But, you know, the point is I made progress, and I'm happy with it. And so that is what I did today on day 2. And this is probably the end, I guess, of day 2. Okay, end of day 2. Here are the list that I was working on the other day. And I've gone through and crossed certain things out. And that, oh, there's a lot of stuff on the bottom. Wow, I totally forgot I did all this. Well, anyway, I went through it and crossed that stuff out and moved it over here. And you can see I started with page 1 and then just went, and that was about a half hour right there just to kind of get that to become this.
It really needs.
All right, a little bit more. The letterer got back to me about page 1 of issue 3 of the Horror A4, which is penciled. I did very tight pencils. Actually, this might be half inked now that I'm looking at it. But the letterer got back to me with the first pass. I mean, it's pretty much done. He had a couple little notes here and there, just to make sure we're on the same page before he moves forward with the rest of it. He did the last issue too, so I'm not expecting a lot of problems, but I had to download the files and check them out and tell him it was okay and re-import them, and, you know, whatever. I farted around with this for about a half hour, got this in shape, and so that's really the end of day 2, but it's good that I touched both projects today. Well, day 3 has begun. I'm tired. It's afternoon, but I'm still sleep-faced, just woke up, but I also went to bed 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm always on a late schedule. I've always been that kind of person, but lately I've been on an extra late schedule, and I've still been not getting enough sleep. It's been that sort of thing where I'm lucky to get 6 hours sleep for a variety of reasons. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm having my coffee, still decaf because there's no emergencies here, and I'm going to start the day. Time has passed, still day 3. Why am I in bed? I'll give you a secret. I'm naked. Look, there's my toes. Can you see them? Look, there's my toes. But there's a blanket in between, so this is all G-rated. I worked in the house. I finished up the artwork that I needed to do. I handled some business email-y type stuff. I did other things. Then I took a shower. Now I'm heading to the work table to do my 30 minutes for day 3. So I've been working on the writing once again, and I'm only about 15 minutes into my 30, and I'm already taking a break for 2 reasons. One, I'm really thirsty. I did that work, and I took a shower and stuff, and I didn't have anything to drink, so I'm going to get a caffeine-free Coke Zero here. But the good news is my goal was to kind of like last time where I took a list of kind of random stuff and made it into more of like a breakdown of like sort of a rough narrative. Now I'm taking that breakdown of the rough narrative and turning it into actual pages and panels. Probably still a lot of editing needs to be done, but I mostly have page 1 worked out. While doing that though, I was putting in specific dialogue, and there's a line of dialogue that I realized could be the title of the story, which I never even thought about a title, but I've been seeing some of the other 100s working on theirs and talking about titles and things, and I was like, oh yeah, even if I don't literally draw or mention the title, in the book, I'm gonna have to have a credit for the title. So what's the title? Well, I'll tell you. The title, the working title, I should say, because it's not set in stone, but the working title is Satan. What the f? But the working title is Satan, Please Turn Me Into a Werewolf. Back at the desk, got a Uzumaki kitty here, keeping me company with her stripes. I ended up putting about an hour into the writing. I did about a half hour, and I got the first page mostly laid out, and started the second. And then I was like, well, let me finish the second. Next thing you know, I've done 3, and it's been an hour. So if you looked on the left side here, this is what I basically did yesterday. I took the first list and turned it into this. And you can see, again, I had page 1 and then nothing else. So as I go through, I grabbed sections here, and I literally copied and pasted into a new one. And I don't erase them, but I put a line through. Now, some of them I completely decided to cut out, and those, again, still left, but I turned them reds, which means they're not in the new one, but I've decided that way on purpose. So you can see I got 2 pages, and then 3 and 4 are still on there. The problem is I have page 1, page 2, and page 3. Now, page 3 isn't done, but if I can't fit everything that's supposed to be on page 3 here, I'm going to have to make some cuts. Basically, page 1 I'm pretty happy with, and I don't think I'm going to need to change. There's a cattail. 2 and 3 are going to need revisions, but I'm going to worry about that later. My general process of writing, and I don't have a great process because I draw way more than I write, is to just get something down and then revise it, and then revise it, and then revise it. Because if I try to revise as I go, I'll get stuck and never finish and be working on page 1 or... because I'll get stuck working on one panel or one page or trying to make things, because for example, I feel like page 2 is maybe a little too long, and I wanted to like tighten that up, but I'm like, I should just go through, get to page 4 or 5, whatever, get it done. And I didn't. I wanted to get it done today. Maybe I'll come back to it. But like today or tomorrow, I'll get this version done, then go back and work on it again. And that's also how I approach art too. Better to get a rough version done that I could, edit than to keep working on like the hand or the panel or the one car in the background or whatever. Even if it looks crappy, just move on, come back to it later. Which serves me well when I have deadlines, because if I have a project that I have a week to do and I spend a week trying to get one element right, and then all of a sudden the week's over, I'm screwed. But if I kind of get the whole thing mostly done, even if there's some elements that aren't perfect, I at least have a finished product. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach writing too. And writing's very hard for me. Coming up with ideas isn't, but actually putting them on paper and making it tangible and making it readable and stuff. And I think that's probably true of a lot of people. But I do, again, the blank page is the enemy. So I just put garbage down, knowing it's a mess, knowing it makes no sense. And then every time I come back to it, it's a little bit better, a little bit better. And once again, I know another specific design I have to find. So I did do a little bit of research online. I need an old 80s Halloween costume top from Ben Cooper. So I did a little bit of research and found those and saved those as I was going. So that's what I've got done today. I might go and do a little drawing, I'm not sure. But it's about 6:30, I'm gonna take a break, do some dinner, go out of the house, do something else. Maybe come back to it later. But at the very least, I've got over an hour done today on Werewolves and the Unicorn story, or the title of my story, which is Satan, Please Make Me a Werewolf, or Please Turn Me into a Werewolf. What was it? Satan, Please Turn Me into a Werewolf. It's a bit of a mouthful, so I don't know. But it definitely has an old EC Comics kind of vibe to the title, which I like. Maybe I will do some art, but maybe I'll do some art on the Horror Ray 4. But again, that's for later, so I'm gonna go now. We're gonna go now, bees. Okay, we're gonna go now. I had to go out to the store to get some ingredients for dinner, and it occurred to me that I might have an opportunity to get an eggnog latte. Here I am by the bathroom. It's glamorous, but eggnog latte at Starbucks is a seasonal thing, and they still had it, so I'm getting at least one more this season. So when I went out shopping, of course, I was there for food, but of course I had to look at the toys, and I found these Blink-182 Pops. My buddy, the big dog, he and I were just having a discussion about the difference between Blink-182 and Green Day, and which had a lasting impact, blah, blah, blah. The point is, he likes Blink-182. And they have these 2 Pops, and they were on clearance. They were the only ones in the store, so I got them for him, and he wanted them, so great. Me, I got Outback, which is a new version of a G1 Transformer, kind of second or third wave. Went for about $13. For a while, it was down to 10, and I kept holding off. Today it was 7. So, patience, paying off. Sometimes it's a gamble when you're buying toys, because I could have waited and then now you can't get it anymore and it's $30 or something stupid like that. Meanwhile, eggs so that I can make egg drop soup, which is something I don't really cook very often. This is thicker than I'd like. I don't cook from scratch, and this was sort of from scratch. I used vegetable broth and a bunch of ingredients and then poured the eggs in and whatever. And I learned to do this a couple weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. I've been on a couple weird diets from my doctor, which I don't want to get into, but I needed to like make food out of limited ingredients. And so this was one of the things I learned to make, and it was decent, but there was ingredients I couldn't put in because of the diet, like cornstarch, which is something that's supposed to give it more of a thickness. So I put it in this time, but I definitely used too much. So I'm sure it'll taste okay, but that's why it looks like a thick gruel. But this is what I'm doing now. I'm actually pretty motivated to get to work on the horror after I eat this, so good. Okay, so I did some more work, and I was catching up on some videos and things of my fellow 100s that are on this journey. Even though I'm on day 3, I'm watching videos still from people's day 1, because there's something like 30 of us. And I was just checking out Abe Sapien and Karen Bonfiglio, I hope I'm saying that right, and Mr. Green Draws, specifically today, just now, but I've watched others as well, and I recommend you do too. While I was doing this, which is a design, as I was saying, the old Halloween costume. This isn't the werewolf mask I was talking about before. This is actually a different one, but it's a Chewbacca from Star Wars bottom with a werewolf mask on top. So this is sort of the image I'm going to have in the comic, and this will probably be almost exactly the image. So because there's only one instance of this. So the thing about this particular story is there's a lot of one-off designs. It's 4 pages. They're all 4-page stories. But it's a lot of talking about things going on throughout. So the way mine's set up, there's a lot of designs like this one that will literally be in one panel in my comic. So I've unintentionally made it a little bit labor intensive, but none of the drawings are going to be heavy, crazy perspective or nuts action or anything like that. So it's going to be heavy on the design side, but not so heavy when I actually work on the pages. But not so heavy when I'm actually working on the pages. All right, I worked on the Horror A4. I did about 45 minutes, more than a half hour, less than an hour. Looking at the first panel of page 10, this is the rough I had, and so the way I usually break it down is I'll have the rough for the energy and the sort of story point. Then I went in to break down kind of the anatomy. I moved the arms a little bit. Originally I had it more of a dynamic, like blah, and then I wanted it to be more like being hit so hard that there's not even excitement, it's just everything's going limp. And I was pretty happy with that. And then I'll erase that. And then what always happens is I have to make it look like the character, and it loses some energy in the next phase, which is, oops, that's just the panel border, which is here. So if I take that out, it's not terrible, but I definitely lose something. Now, this is just the pencil, so I have an ink phase, so maybe I can get some back. But then I went ahead and there's the blast, so I put some, this is like the temporary shadowing, but the thing is in grayscale, it usually has 2 tones at least, so that's not too far from what it'll look like. And then I got to work on the blast, but that's sort of the rough for it. I definitely used lines that are too thick here, but that's something I could fix in inking. And I like the idea of having it be a semi-transparent white layer on top of it. So the thing I'm least happy with is this blast, but that, you know, again, that'll be fixed with a little patience and inking. Still, one panel done on the next page. Not as fast as I'd like, but progress nonetheless. Worked on both things, and I got a few more other things. Tomorrow I probably should get some client work done. I have one job, but there's like 4 pieces in it that I need to get done. I have until like the middle of the month to get one done, at the end of the month to get all 4 done. But as I said before, my mom is coming to visit in like 4 days. So as much as I can get done on that ahead of time, the better. That's it for day 3. Day 3, done. Day 4. All right, did a little comic work earlier in the day, nothing major. Work on the Horror A4, not the Werewolves and Unicorns story. Basically corresponding with my letterer on the next couple pages he worked on, and figuring out a few things with that. So not my 30 minutes, not 30 minutes total even, but a little bit of work on the Horror A4 nonetheless. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of client stuff, and we'll see where we go from there. It's just a little before 4, and it's already dark. Well, maybe, I guess it's not dark, it's just the way the sun is hitting the office makes it feel dark. But anyway, I've done a bunch more stuff that I'm not gonna get into, work, art, house, blah, and I'm going to have a snack and some decaf coffee. I'm gonna watch a quick YouTube video, and then it's 4. I'm gonna start working on my werewolves, Satan, Please Turn Me Into a Werewolf. Because it's about 4, and at 5:30 I have Twitch Request Live, which I do every Friday. So I want to make sure I get my 30 minutes in before that. So that's what I'm going to do after I do this. Man, it got dark. It's only been about a half hour, maybe a little over. It's still not even 5, but whatever. I'm very obsessed about how dark it is. Good news. Well, I did my 30 minutes, so a hair over. I finished my first draft. Finished my first draft of Satan, Please Turn Me Into a Werewolf. It's 4 pages. I'm looking at it right now. I've gotten everything off of the other version that is, and it's either been transcribed or deleted. I've added a few things here and there, but it's 4 pages. The first page has 6 panels. Second page has 7 panels. Third page has 6 panels. Fourth page has 6 panels. 2 things I'm often fighting against when I'm working on comic pages, especially once I get to the art after the script, is too many panels per page and too much dialogue per panel. So they tend to get cramped. And if I'm working on my comic The Horror A4, which is 5 issues, and I'm working on issue 3, and as I go on, I'm allowing myself to add more pages and let it breathe a little, because in the past, I'd be like, well, I have to fit it all on this page. But because I'm my own editor, my own writer, and my own publisher, I'm like, well, you know what? If it's got to be a few more pages and it's going to take longer, so be it, if it makes it better. But with this, it has to be 4 pages. So I'm done. I'm going to sit on it. Maybe I'll let Q read it and see if anything jumps out as unnecessary to her that I can cut. I think I could do it as is. I'm definitely going to give it a revision pass. Like, I like to stop and then, you know, go back and I'll look at it tomorrow or whatever. But I'm happy that I was able to get it to the 4 pages. And having 6 or 7 panels is not too much per page. It's more than maybe I would like, but it's doable. So I'm happy with that. I also did some sketching, nothing amazing. When I was done with that, I had a little more time, and I was doing these digitally the other day, but if you look, This is getting close to the psychic the psychic werewolf version here. I mean, it's still sketchy, designy stuff, but that's kind of what I did on this today. Maybe I'll work on it more later. I don't know, but I got my 30 minutes at least done on werewolves and vampires. Technically, I worked a little on the horror as well, but again, I've got about 45 minutes before my stream starts, so I'm going to stop this, kind of just get ready for the stream, which isn't that much, but, you know, I probably want to change my t-shirt and brush my teeth. Why? I don't know. Yeah, so if you watch me on YouTube and don't watch me on Twitch, that's fine. But just so you know, I do have a Twitch channel. It's Gazbot with 2 underscores. And every Friday I do Twitch Request Live for about an hour and a half, starting at 5:30, where I will do sketches. I've done some of these werewolf things, you know, in between taking requests from people in chat to just do whatever characters. And then I occasionally broadcast other things as well. But that's neither here nor there. That's a little plug for my Twitch channel. I'm going to end this. Maybe I'll see you again, and maybe it'll be day 5 next time I see you. Who knows? Hi again. It's technically day 5 because it's after midnight, but for me it's still day 4, and I did my Werewolves vs. Unicorns. I always say versus. My Werewolves and Unicorn stuff earlier, but I just put in a little over a half hour on the horror A4 as well. Basically, I got the pencils done on this panel, which is from page 10, so not a ton, but you know, a full panel, good goes. I also did do my Twitch stream, which I will put a rebroadcast of on my YouTube channel. If you care, it'll probably be up before this. And yeah, that's it for day 4. See ya, folks.
Get out of the dirty dishes, you hobo cat. Come on, get out of here.
And thus begins day 5. I have not done any work. Well, I've been doing dishes. I've done other work, but I've not done any work on the 100 days, either the werewolf story or the RA4. I will be doing that soon. Roger, we're still on day 5. Oh, hello, I'm back at the desk. So what's been going on so far is I was in touch with my letterer again about the Horror A4 stuff. So it looks like we have lettering done up through page 5. Basically what happens is I give him the rough art, well, the penciled art and the script, and then he will do the lettering and send it to me and be like, is this cool? And usually it's mostly cool, but I'll be like, oh, can you change this sound effect a little bit, or, you know, add a word, remove a word, you know. And this is the second issue we've done together, so I'm finding less revisions than last time, which is cool because we're getting more simpatico. And I went through that and got all that squared away. Then I talked with Q about the first draft of my script for my werewolf story to get her input. And now I'm going to go ahead and look at it and make any revisions that I might need to do. So I'm, like, even though I've put some work into both of those technically, I'm not counting any of that towards my 30 minutes. I'm going to now sit down and do a little bit of revision on the script, and now I'm starting my 30 minutes. Okay, well, now I have done my time on my werewolf story, and I did about an hour. First thing I did was I went over the script again after talking with Q, and I made very few revisions, a couple, like, remove a word here or there. I moved the order of 2 panels. There's a section that I may want to revise or eliminate altogether, but I feel like that'll be better done in the layout phase, because sometimes just, I could see if it'll work or not, or how crushed I am for time. So I went in and started doing layouts. So most of what I did today was working on layouts. I went onto the 100th anthology page and downloaded all the templates and stuff that Mike Emmerich had put up, who is the editor of the whole thing. And I kind of reread his notes. I already knew, but I wanted to refresh myself. And grabbed the templates, got them all set up, and laid out the first page. Rough layout, and it might change, but one thing I struggle with a lot, as I've said before, is fitting dialogue and text onto the page. So in the layout stage, I try to indicate that there's going to be text here, text there, you know, whether it's a caption, a balloon, just written in the background, whatever, to give myself an idea. And then before I go to inks or anything, I'll definitely, like, put some text in there, like, you know, using font or whatever, to actually make sure it'll fit. Because art-wise, this fits fine, and it's not cramped at all. But once I put the lettering in, that could change, of course. But so I got to do 3 more of these and make sure they're all working, and then I'll move on to the next phase, which will probably be leaving the art like this and then going into lettering. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is day 5, done, super good. I may or may not do some work on the horror if I have time today, but I'm going to end this video because I've got now day 2, 3, 4, and 5. And while I'm not doing daily videos, part of the reason to save time, I'm recording stuff every day, and then I put up a compilation video, but I realize the longer I wait, the bigger job I'll have of editing, and I don't want the video to be like 3 hours long. So I'm going to end the video here, but I may or may not end day 5. So the next video, I'll let you know if I did any more on day 5. But so far so good, at least 30 minutes every day on the Werewolves and Unicorns anthology, sometimes more, sometimes working on the horror A4, and that's good because if all goes according to plan, I will finish this 4-page story before the end of the 100 days, at which time I will just keep working on the horror A4, keep doing the 30 minutes of my own personal projects. I just might switch projects halfway through. So it's a little bit of a different one this time. So I advise you to work on your own comics or your own whatever you like, a little bit each day, and because it is a thing too, where if you just do 30 minutes a day, I'll stick to comics, but it could work for anything. It'll take forever to the comic come out because the average professional comic artist can do about a page a day of pencils. That's 8 hours. So let's say you're that quick. I'm not that quick, but let's say you're that quick. So 8 hours, break that into half, that's 16 days. So that means if you do a half hour a day, it'll take you over 2 weeks, including weekends, to get 1 page of art done if you're doing pencils. Now, even if you're faster than that, you see where I'm going with this. So you don't want to forever just do 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day is to get you in the habit of working on it every day, even when you're busy. And what I found more important, like I had kind of stagnated and I wasn't really looking at the horror and I was busy with other stuff, and I'm still busy with other stuff, but it keeps your mind engaged in the project. Even if you're not getting tons of work done, every day you think about it. Every day you do a little bit on it, so that when you do have time, you're like, okay, I can put 2, 3, 4, 5, a whole day into it worth of hours, but you're not coming at it like, oh, I haven't thought about this in 4 weeks or a month and got to figure out what you're doing all over again. Little bits of progress add up. More importantly, keeping it in your head, keeping you involved in the project keeps it up. And I've been working on the horror reform, I'm working on issue 3 now for years. It's ridiculous how long it's been taking me. But doing this short story is kind of energizing me for that as well, because this is something, it's only 4 pages and there's a distinct deadline. It has to be done in 100 days, ready to go printed. So going from writing it to having it done in 100 days, it shouldn't be difficult at all. As I said, I should be done before the end of the 100 days. And it kind of reminds me how possible it is to work on my other comic and just kind of got my energy up again. So that's good. I'm gonna go. I wanted to keep it short. I keep talking. All right, goodbye. Okay, at the desk, it is day 5.
Hold on.
So, now I forgot what I was going to say. I went on to the 100, went on shoot. There you go.